Joining me today, I'm very excited to be with Paul Epp once more. He is a pastor at St. Vital EMC. He is also a nature and adventure photographer. His photography and his background, as you can see, is just
Hmm.
incredible. Paul, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah, so fun to be back.
Absolutely. So today, we just want to know something that you are very well versed in.
Mm.
Where are the best canoe spots in Manitoba?
Ooh. Well, I have not explored the entire province, although we enjoy doing that. Um, I sometimes think about what are like introduction to canoeing sort of places to try out, and then maybe as you do more and you realize, oh, I might want to do more of that, then what are other ideas and options you can do? So I grew up um, actually on a strawberry farm close to LaSalle, so we were right along the LaSalle River. And so I like to suggest to people who are thinking or starting off to try for set yourself up for success. And one of that I think is one part of that is to aim for bodies of water that are less threatening. So a river is perfect because you won't have to deal with too bad of a wind, too bad of waves, all that sort of thing. If you capsize by chance, LaSalle River is pretty shallow, so you could probably just stand up and walk through the mud to get out. But it's also just so pretty. Like this time of year, the trees like canopy almost the whole river at some parts. Um, and Le Barrier Park is such a great launch point for that. I think they even have one of those like they built an actual launching port, so it's even easier. So you don't have to walk in the mud to get in there. So I like to suggest things like that when people ask me. And then as you progress and you're like, oh, you know what, I might want to do more. Then I suggest like next step might be trying a lake. And I would say pack a picnic. Um, Driving out to the White Shell, there's Hunt Lake, there's Lions Lake, there's smaller lakes. We did that last spring. We stayed in the White Shell at a place, and we spent a day just paddling around Lions Lake, and we packed a picnic and had a fun day as a family. So that's kind of what I suggest first to try, and then as you want to take another step into adventure, then there's other ideas for furthering that along. Uh, my first thought, and our girls love it, and it's cool for everybody, is the Caddy Lake route, because paddling under tunnels is really cool. You do
Agreed.
have to you do have to make sure you have a whistle. That's super important. I mean, that should be part of your safety kit with every canoe, anyways. But have around your neck, and even some life jackets still have whistles with them. But you always have to blow your whistle before you go through, just to make sure you don't like ram into a boat coming through the other way or something. But it is so cool to paddle through the tunnels. We've done it once at nighttime, and we weren't sure if they were bats or birds flying over our heads, so we were kind of like paddling in the dark
Swallows.
tunnel. Swallows, probably swallows, with our headlamps, and a little freaky, but it just adds to the adventure. And
That's
then
so cool.
yeah, and then with that one, you don't have to portage, which is also a nice beginner step. Um, Again, as you entertain and enjoy these things, you kind of want to try to add more adventure. And then there's so many other options of portaging into places. So you hike all your stuff over land to another lake. And I have grown to love the Blood, Sweat, and Tears because it gives you an extra level of seclusion. And there's been many times where we've been on a lake to ourselves. So you could howl with the wolves and no one's around to be interrupted by that or wonder if it's the real thing or not. So
So
yeah.
for those great adventurers who are like, yes, I'm going to
Mm,
try portaging. I'm going to get to the next level. What is an area or two that you
yeah.
might suggest?
Yeah. Well, probably our favorite area, and it's a little bit of a sad thing now to say, but Nopaming Park is always one of our favorites. The Bird River route, starting at Tullaby Lake, which is right beside Bird Lake, and then paddling up there. It's about 3 hours of tripping to before you get to the first campsites, but they're shorter portages, and it's enough of a length to feel like I'm going deep into the wilderness here. And we've paddled by like a mama moose with a baby moose. We've seen wolf prints. It's if you really feel vulnerable, like the further you get into the wilderness, the more vulnerable you feel. And I think that's actually a good practice that we sometimes never get in this world that we're living in typically. So just to realize we are far more vulnerable, maybe not as strong as we think. Like sometimes if you don't have, out there you worry about not having a good shelter, food, clean water, like just the basics of life. So it's kind of a nice humbler, I think, sometimes when you get out there.
And maybe we're not the top of the food chain?
Maybe not. When I see the size of the wolf prints as big as my hand, I'm like, I don't think I am. So,
For sure. Awesome.
oh,
Okay, well, those are great areas. What are essentials on a canoe trip, whether that's day or overnight? And I know that might be an extensive list here.
yeah, it's all good. Well, I asked my family before I came to work today. I said to my wife, I said, what would be your essential to bring on a canoe trip? And she said, there's so much to choose from, but I think we kind of would say coffee and an insulated coffee mug. Because her sitting by the water in the mornings is like her heaven. And Zaylia, our youngest, her 6-year-old, she said nerds and daddy. So I'm like nerds, not my nerdy daddy, but like the snack nerds. And I actually always choose candies that take them a long time to eat. So a sucker or little tiny nerds one at a time or that kind of thing. Because you always want to prolong um, these sorts of things as long as you can to entertain them. Nova said Stuffies, Barbies, and Twizzlers. So that was her thing. Uh, I brought one thing with me. I didn't wear it because it's a little bit stinky, let's say. But I think one of the best things to wear on any canoe trip is actually go to a thrift store and find a dress shirt, a white dress shirt that's a little baggy on you, and wear that. Um, it keeps you cool. There's more air flowing between you. Um, Mosquitoes don't like lighter colors. It keeps you. You can even flip the collar up so like sun doesn't burn the back of your neck. Um, it is like a go-to camping thing. So in a lot of my pictures and stuff, I'll be wearing that on trips. Or now my friends also do the same after they've had times where they burnt their arms or neck or stuff like that. It's also not a bad idea to have a little portable charging thing for like a phone or something, because you never know if you get in trouble and if you have reception. And more places now have reception the further you go out. So you just want to be able to still have that little bit of an emergency line. I bring out a lot of photography stuff with me. And anytime I do any packing, I always try to go as light as possible. And I think, how can one thing serve me in 2 or 3 ways? So like one of my little portable charger units is also like a flashlight, has a strobe on it. So I could use it to charge my phone probably once. Well, if I needed a strobe light for some sort of something else, I could do that. So, and because I'm a pastor, I thought I should also include this. Bibles. You don't have to bring your big thick Bible, but you can even bring like a little John piece. This would be for the backcountry, so it's as light as possible. But I've had times where me and friends have read scripture around the fire at night, which is awesome. Or this one was a little thicker, so it might be my no portaging canoe trip Bible. So, yeah, so that's probably some of the things.
Definitely. When it comes to safety, what are some things people need to keep in mind?
Well, as you notice my attire today, I don't usually wear life jackets to work, um, but today I did to show. Yeah, so life jackets, you have to at least have them in your canoe, but it's always a good thing to wear them. When you're in a canoe, you're required to have a safety kit in there with you, and you can buy those for about $10 or so from most outdoorsy places. So they're little containers that are screw shut and has a rope in there, has a flashlight in there, has a whistle in there, And if you take all that out, you can use that as a bailing bucket as well. So you need one of those when you do these trips. The other thing I would say about life jackets is they are pretty expensive. Like, it's amazing how expensive they are, even at the cheaper stores. But me and Laurel have found, like, go to thrift stores, go to garage sales, like $2, $3, $4 life jackets. So we now have like a big army of life jackets in our shed, just ready to go now. Because if we take more people out, depending on ages, like we have more kid ones and stuff now, and so before I would suggest anybody go to the expensive stores to buy all their gear, like start with garage sales and thrift stores, and you'll be surprised at how much you can find, and equip yourself with a minimal budget, and good stuff still. So yeah, I'd
On
probably
top
say
of
that.
that, idea with,
Mm,
keeping of safety, but then also somebody who's like, "Yeah, I've never canoed. I'm
mm,
probably strong enough to canoe for a couple hours, but I don't own a canoe." Are there any options?
mm. Yeah, like options to figure out if they're strong enough or what.
No, sorry, like, to have
Yeah.
like, to still canoe
To still canoe. Oh yeah.
if they don't
My
own a
my
canoe.
best. Now I know what you mean. Yeah. I actually I made friends with a good guy named Matt, who's from Wilderland Adventure Company, I think it's called. But they do different kind of services, guiding services, workshops with paddling or hiking or camping or winter camping. Really cool guy, really cool project that he's working on. So you can contact people like him who will actually like train you how to do it. If you don't want to do something like that, my suggestion would be 3 people in a canoe works quite fine. So then if you're like, I don't know if I could quite do this, then you have someone in the middle to swap you out. So sometimes on canoe trips, if there's breaks or portages, then you just, whoever needs a break can sit in the middle for a while. So that works out quite well. Yeah.
I also have to say, because you've already mentioned it,
Yeah.
some people might be like, "Well, you'd never take a kid on a canoe trip," but you have, you
Mm,
do, right?
yeah. We actually took Nova, our firstborn, for the first time when she was 5 months old. Uh, and I that we took with another good friends of ours from church. So the 5 of us went on a trip. And the nice thing about when they're that young is we just laid out a blanket on our campsite and just laid her in there, and she just had such a good time laying there looking up at the trees and the birds flying around. And I was like, we don't have to worry about her crawling around, which is awesome. Enough people to help hold her while me and Laurel may be doing these things or that of those things and swap out. I took my middle girl, Zeze, on a trip, just me and her, when she was 6. No, 3. She's 6 now. But when she was 3, I took her on a daddy-daughter trip. After church, we blazed out to Nopaming and did an overnighter. And on that trip, I didn't realize that the little river that we were paddling on, it was called Rabbit River. The weeds had overgrown quite a bit. So there's many times where I had to get out of the canoe and like man pull the canoe through the weeds, and she was just sitting there having her little nerds as I'm yanking this canoe through 50 feet or so of bog. But thankfully, on the other side, we found open lake, and then we went to our campsite for the day. But it's so much fun. I mean, it's usually good to bring another adult or two along with the kid just in case. Um, but yeah, we love it. We love taking our girls out, and they're memories that they talk about a lot, even still today. So it's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
When it comes to canoe trips and wrapping this all up, anything else that you wanted to share?
Ooh. Yeah, I think I would say, um, don't be so focused on the destination. Um, it's so good to just take your time in the journey to get to a campsite. Some people just want to get to their site and then, okay, finally now we can have fun or now we can relax. But it's good to take joy in the adventure of it, and slow down, and like if you're on a portage, it's good to take a break anyways, put the canoe down and actually just look at the flowers, look at that cool thing you found in the woods, look at this cool rock. Um, it's good to slow down and enjoy creation as you do these adventures, and rather than just focusing so much on, okay, I'm using the canoe just as a tool to get here, and then it'll be fun. There could be joy in some of the crazy things that we've done, night portaging, slipping in mud, getting all dirty, being lost. Those things are actually really fun. And there's more chance of getting lost if you hurry up. So slow down. It's good for you on many levels. But
I was going to say that's great life advice in
yeah,
general as well,
probably.
right? Instead of just getting to your next goal in life, enjoy
Mm.
today in some way, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of
And
why I have these pictures here, and I have this
mm,
one there too. But
wow.
the reason I have these pictures there is because I want. Uh, this is me portaging, obviously, but I want to be reminded that to get to the good campsites, uh, you have to be willing to sometimes do hard work, but it'll always be worth it. So sometimes when you're in the middle of doing this and you're like, what am I doing? This would be so much easier if we just didn't pick a route like this. Then you get to like a cool campsite like that, and then you wake up in the morning and you're like, it was so worth it.
Mm,
um, so
yeah.
it's good discipleship for life, I would say, and your spiritual walk to do these sorts of trips.
Yes. My favorite mug that I ever had that I broke and bought the same mug and it broke again. But anyway, it said
Oh,
it may not be easy, but it will be worth it. And I think
oh,
that's just life
amazing.
advice, man, right?
Totally,
So
totally.
good.
So true.
Awesome. And how can people follow along your incredible camping trips and
Mm.
whatnot if they're interested?
Yeah, Instagram's probably the best way. Paul Epic is my handle there, and they could find me there and see what we do and ask any questions they have about any of that. I love equipping people who are interested with advice or counsel to get out there and do these sorts of things.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time, Paul.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Sylvia.